I went live on Facebook for an entire year. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the main lessons I learned and how going live changed my business completely. So, yesterday, I shared how to know if God is asking you to do something. And in my case, what God had asked me to do was to go live on Facebook every single week for an entire year. And what I did was I chose one day of the week when it was convenient for me. I chose Monday at 8 p.m. when I would be back from work. And at that time, I actually had a day job. So I was working 9 to 5, and then I had a young family. So at 8 p.m. every Monday night, I would go live on Facebook for 1 hour. And I did that consecutively every single week for the year. And when I tell you that the transformation in myself, in my business was amazing, I'm not even doing it justice. But here is what I really want to tell you about. When I first started going live, it was so hard to do because I was asking myself, what do I have to say to the people when I go live? And it just felt very daunting. And I don't know if maybe you've considered live streaming before, but for a lot of people, they struggle with the spontaneity of going live and having to speak without a script, and there is no editing. If you mess up on the live stream, you mess up. But with practice, I then realized that all of those things that I was telling myself, they are not actually true. You probably will not mess up live. And even if you did, people give you more grace because you are actually live. So the three main lessons that I learned as a result of going live for an entire year, I want to break it down in a way that you'll see that it's not about perfection. So before that, I used to think that things had to be perfect before I did them. And then I would spend months and even years just planning and before I knew it, years had passed and I just hadn't done the thing. And so when I started to go live, I realized that perfection is not necessary. So you have to understand that live streaming is the most simple version of content creation where you're building a conversation with people you're having a conversation with people in real time, and you're building a relationship with them without all the flex of editing. And so people are not expecting you to be perfect. In fact, if you are perfect, then it sort of gives this false persona, this facade of who you are. But when you go live, people are used to seeing you in your normal state. And so that is one of the lessons I learned, is that nobody wants you to be perfect. In fact, they want to see the real you. The second lesson for me was just the fact that when you go live, you are going to grow as a person in so many ways. In fact, I cannot explain just the drastic change that is going to happen when you start to go live consistently. Yes, you're connecting with your audience, but guess what? You're also connecting with yourself. There are stories you will tell and opinions you would give on your live stream that because you haven't thought about it before, you haven't had the time to consider it and think of the best version to give. That is the you at your realest form, in your realest form. Like you're giving your opinions in real time and having a conversation in real time. And because of that, you are not hiding. You are not pretending. You are not trying to be anything you are not. And so it will connect you to yourself and help you grow. I think when I used to go live for that year, there were opinions that I had that I didn't even know that I had until someone asked a question in the comments or something happened and I had to share my real honest perception or opinion about the thing. And then I think the third lesson that I learned is the fact that consistency is very important for everything you will ever do in life, especially when you are building a business and building your audience as you go. live streaming allows you to build your audience only if you can be consistent. Now, consistency with live streaming is quite different. It's not like the Instagram and Facebook where people expect you to put out a polished post every single day. With live streaming, because you don't need to be polished, you can literally be cooking at home or making a cup of tea or out at the mall, and you have a thought and you decide to go live and share the moment with your audience. Or you can even decide to have a specific time every single day or every single week where you go live. The important thing is when people know when to expect you, then they start looking forward to you coming live. And I think for me, it took about 6 months of going live every single week before someone sent me a message that really made me understand that people had been watching all along. And I think I need to share that when you first start going live, right, people may not turn up for your live streams. In fact, I remember in the very early days, it would just be me and maybe one other person in the live stream. And I'm thinking, oh my days. But as time went on, people started showing up every week because now they realize that at 8 p.m. on this day, Kome is going to be live. And so that's the same thing for you. Consistency is going to change everything. People will know to expect you at a particular time, and they would actually show up with expectation. Actually, do you know what? That expectation is the best part of live streaming, because people would say things like, oh, I thought you were coming live at 8 o'clock. And I think I remember a particular situation where I had Wi-Fi issues that day. For some reason, the internet was just not cooperating. And I ended up going live about 15 or 20 minutes late. And people in the comments were saying, oh my goodness, I thought you were coming live at 8 o'clock. I've been waiting. Someone said I was rushing home so that I could catch you live. And so those kind of comments will help you realize that your audience are actually listening to you. They're expecting you, but it only happens on the back of you being consistent. I think I want to add at this point that if you have a business already, or maybe you are starting a business and you keep thinking, how am I going to build an audience of people? How am I going to get people to see what I have so that they can buy from me? I want to tell you that live streaming is perhaps the most sensible, the least resistant way that you can do it. Because at the time I said live streaming, I didn't even have a business. I didn't know what in the world I was doing. But by the end of that year of live streaming, people were reaching out to me and asking me, oh, I have this business situation. Can you help me with this? I have this situation. Can you help me with that? And that was how I started to understand what my audience were looking for so that I could help them where they needed the help the most. So if you're a business person, start going live. Even if you can't commit to every day, but you can commit to once every week at a fixed time. And announce it to everyone who you know, your friends, network, family, colleagues, every single person. Tell them, hey, I now have a live stream show and I go live at certain time every single week and I just talk about skincare. Or you have a hair care business, I talk about hair care, how to grow your hair. And every time you go live, you're just going to have a chat with them, tell them stories, share some tips, give them feedback, answer questions. All you are doing is building a relationship and having people in real time connect with you on your live stream. I think if I could go back to that year when I was going live every single week, I think something I wish I had known was just how incredibly powerful that season was going to be for me, because I think I would have done it with a bit more enthusiasm and a bit more, I don't know what the word is, but I feel like I would have done it differently. In a sense that when I first started, I was grumbling, like, God, why would I go live? Why do you need me to go live? This is so hard. Nobody is coming. I don't know what to do. Instead, I would have gone in with good joy, knowing that it was a season of building and it was going to transform every single thing: my life, my business, my finances, my family life. Everything was going to change on the back of going live for an entire year. And I hope that it does the same thing for you, especially if you have a business that you're growing, you have a message to share with the world, you have a dream that you need to execute on, and sometimes it feels like I don't really know what to do next. Let this be your sign. Just choose live streaming, forget about all the other content creation that you could be doing, and just start going live and talking to people in real time. I think if this video found one person and it blesses you, my work here is done. And I hope that person is you who's watching right now. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, leave a comment down below so that I know that you're following along in this series. And if you have any questions, I will be glad to answer your questions. Until tomorrow, bye.